Hi children, welcome back to our social class. So today we'll be continuing with the second part of our chapter. What is the name of the chapter? Ruling the countryside. In the previous chapter you saw what is Mahalwari, permanent settlement and Rayatwari system. Okay. So now in this chapter we'll be seeing the following headings one by one. So the topics are crops for Europe. Does color have a history? Why the demand for Indian indigo? Britain turns to India. How was indigo cultivated? The problem with niche cultivation. Indigo on the land of rights. And finally, the Blue Rebellion and after. Okay, so shall we start from the first topic, which is called crops for Europe. So beginning with crops for Europe, we are going to see what all crops were in demand in Europe from India. Okay. So by the late 18th century, okay, by the end of 18th century, the company tried to expand the cultivation of two crops. What are they? Opium and indigo. Okay, what are the two crops? Opium, O-P-I-U-M, opium and indigo. Okay. So the company forced cultivators in various parts of India to produce other crops also. So what are the other crops? First one is jute in Bengal, tea in Assam, sugarcane in United Province, that is in Uttar Pradesh, wheat in Punjab, cotton in Maharashtra and Punjab, and finally rice in Madras. Okay, so these were all the crops cultivated for Europeans to use. Next topic is, does color have a history? So you know you have many colors around you. But do you know, is there some history behind the colors? So shall we see what it is? Okay. So do you know the history behind blue color? So the rich blue color was produced from a plant called indigo. Okay, what is the name of the plant? Indigo. So previously we learned the Britishers encouraged Indian cultivars to grow indigo and opium. So indigo was the plant which gave them blue color. It is a natural color. Okay. So the blue dye was used in Morris prints. Okay. Floral designs was made in cloth. Okay. That is called a Morris print. In which century? 19th century. So Britain manufactured indigo plants cultivated in India. So this Morris prints were manufactured in Britain, where they used the indigo, that is the blue color which the plants obtained from India. Okay. So India was the biggest supplier of indigo in the world at that time, because our indigo was very good. It had a very good quality. Okay. So now let's see why there was a great demand for Indian indigo. Okay. So indigo plants grow in the tropics. Okay. Where do they grow? They grow in the tropics, and Indian indigo was used by cloth manufacturers in Italy, France and Britain to dye cloth. Okay. So which all places they use? Italy, France and Britain. For what? For dyeing, that is giving color to the cloth. And indigo gave you blue color. Okay. So small amount of Indian indigo reached the European market, and its price was very high. Okay. So when it reached the European market, because of its quality, its price was very high. Therefore, European cloth manufacturers had to depend on another plant called woad to make violet and blue dyes. As the cost or the price of this indigo was very high, the Europeans had to depend on other materials like woad, W-O-A-D, woad, to make violet and blue dyes. Okay. So indigo produced a rich blue color, whereas the dye from woad was pale and dull. By the end of 18th century, the demand for Indian indigo grew further. While the demand for Indian indigo increased, its existing supplies from the West Indies and America collapsed for a variety of reasons. So previously we were getting crops from West Indies and America. Okay. But due to certain reasons, they did not get this. So between 1783 and 1789, the production of indigo in the world fell by half. Okay. So now there was a change in indigo search. Your next topic is Britain turns to India. Okay. So in Europe, the demand for indigo was very high. We previously discussed, right? So the company in India looked for ways to expand the area under indigo cultivation. So they had to expand the area, produce more indigo so that they can export it to European countries. Okay. So gradually the indigo trade grew. Okay, it started developing. So commercial agents and officials of the company began investing in indigo production. So when there was a price increase in price, many people, okay, agents and officials started investing in indigo production. So the company officials were attracted by the prospect of high profits and came to India to become indigo planters. Okay. So the company officials were attracted and they came to India to cultivate indigo. Okay. They became indigo planters. Is it clear? Okay. So shall we see now what is indigo and how is it cultivated? So how was indigo cultivated? So the indigo plant was cultivated in two methods. Okay, what is the two main methods or system of indigo cultivation? Niche and Rayoti. What is it called? Niche and Rayoti. So within the system of niche cultivation, the planters produced indigo in the lands that he directly controlled. So where they had the land and they cultivated themselves, that system is called niche cultivation. Okay. So in this niche system, okay, he either bought the land, they bought the land or rented it from the other Semindas. Okay. So they bought the land or got the land for rented from the Semindas and produced indigo by directly employing hired laborers. So he'll be directly there, he'll have laborers with him and he'll be growing this indigo plants. Is it clear? Okay. So now we are going to see what were the problems faced with this niche cultivation. Okay. So coming to the problems, the first one is the planters found it difficult to expand the area. Okay. First, expansion of area was difficult. Indigo could only be cultivated on fertile land. That is, for the indigo plants to grow, the land should be very fertile. So it was not possible for them. Okay. The second was planters attempted to lease land around the indigo factory and evict the peasants from that area. So they tried to buy the land on lease which was around the indigo factory and the peasants were sent out of that area. Okay. The third one was niche cultivation on a large scale required many plows and bullocks. They also required many plows and bullocks. Okay. So till the end of 19th century, planters were therefore reluctant to expand the area under niche cultivation. Okay, they were not ready to expand the area. Is it clear? So these were all the problems faced in niche cultivation. So what is your next type? Yes, it is called Rayotwari. Okay, Rayoti cultivation. So now we are going to see indigo on the land of ryots. So in the first part we have learned what is ryots. Ryots are otherwise called cultivators, right? So in this system, the planters that under the Rayoti system were forced to sign a contract or agreement. Okay. So the planters were forced to sign a contract or an agreement. Okay. So those who signed the contract got cash advances from the planters at low rate of interest to produce indigo. So those who signed this contract got money from the planters, okay, at low rate of interest so that they can produce indigo. And when the harvested crop was delivered to the planter, they'll provide them with a new loan, okay. So when you get this produce and supply it to the planter, they will give you another loan, okay. And again, the cycle starts all over again. Again, they start cultivating and the produce they give it to the planters. Okay. Again, they provide them with the loan. With that amount, they start cultivating again. So this cycle keeps on rotating. So peasants soon realized how the loan system was. After an indigo harvest, the land could not be sown with rice because we know indigo grows only in a fertile land and it requires more nutrients. Okay. So once this indigo has been cultivated, that land becomes barren or it is not suitable for cultivating rice. Okay. Is it clear? This is called ryote cultivation. The next topic is the Blue Rebellion and after. Okay, so Blue Rebellion. Okay, so ryots in Bengal refused to grow indigo. Okay, so the cultivators in Bengal, they started refusing to grow indigo. People who worked for the planters were socially boycotted, and the gomastas, that is the head or leader agents of planters who came to collect rent, were beaten up. So the planters or the agents who came to collect the rent was beaten up by these people. Okay. So the Bengal riots had the support of local Samindas and village headmen. Okay. So the Bengal riots had the support of two people. Who are they? Local Samindas and village headman in their rebellion against the planters. Okay. So it was a fight against the planters by the Bengal riots. Is it clear? So they were supported by local Samindas and village headmen. Okay. So the indigo peasants believed that the British government would support them in their struggle against the planters. After the revolt of 1857, the British government was worried about the possibility of another popular rebellion. Okay, so because of this rebellion taking place, the Britishers were very afraid whether another rebellion would break out. Okay, is it clear till that? Okay. So now what happened? The rebellion started spreading. Okay, so as the rebellion spread, intellectuals from Calcutta rushed to the indigo district. Okay, so the leaders or the officials from Calcutta came to the districts. Okay, and the government set up the Indigo Commission to inquire into the system of indigo production. Okay, so what did the government set up? They set up an Indigo Commission to inquire what was happening in this indigo production. Okay, so the commission asked the riots to fulfill their existing contracts, but also told them that they could refuse to produce indigo in future. Okay, so what did the commission ask them? The commission asked the riots to fulfill their existing contract. Okay, they have to fulfill, that is complete their contracts what is at present now. But if they want to refuse it, they can do it in the future. They can stop producing indigo. Is it clear? So that was called the Great Blue Rebellion. Sorry, what was it? The Great Blue Rebellion. Okay. So they had the support of whom? Zamindas and local headmen. Okay. So that they were able to fight against this officials. Okay. Now coming to the conclusion part, the indigo production collapsed in Bengal. Okay. So in Bengal it was collapsed. Because of what? After the rebellion, after the Blue Rebellion, the indigo production collapsed in Bengal, or it was totally reduced. So Gandhiji returned from South Africa. A peasant from Bihar persuaded him to visit Champran. Okay, so during this time Gandhiji returned from South Africa to India. At that time a peasant went to Gandhiji and said him to come to Champran, which is the place Champran. Okay, and saw the plight of the indigo cultivators. Okay, so how they were facing the difficulties. Gandhiji saw their difficulties. So in 1917, which year? 1917, he visited, which marked the beginning of Champran movement against the indigo planters. Okay, so in 1917, Gandhiji started Champran movement. What is it called? Champran movement against the indigo planters. Okay, so with this we shall conclude today's chapter. So ruling the countryside chapter is over with this. Okay, so we saw what are indigo plantation, what are the two types of cultivation, that is niche and ryote cultivation, and finally we saw what is Blue Rebellion. Okay children, so thank you for watching. Take care, be safe and be happy.